Hi Anti-Society, welcome back to the Antisocial Planet, and today we are checking out the first Bleach movie, Memories of Nobody. So, a few things before we get into this. One, acknowledging the elephant in the room. Some of you who've been on the channel for a while be saying, Sarah, haven't you already seen Memories of Nobody? To which I say, yes, I have. We watched it on Discord, and I was going to record it so that I could post it on YouTube, but because it was my first time doing something like that, it wasn't usable, which is a shame because we watched it with Blur Nation. If you aren't subscribed to his channel, go and do it. It's great. If you love comics, go and watch his channel. But unfortunately, I wasn't able to actually use any of that recording. The audio was just not good at all. So I thought we would rewatch it, partly so that people can get my thoughts, partly because I had only just finished, I think, Soul Society arc, or I was in Soul Society arc when I watched the film, so I feel like I'm going to be coming from a very different place now. And also because we reached 1,000 subscribers on the channel, I feel like I don't have enough going on. Like, I feel like I need balloons or like those little like cracker thingies with the streamers. I got nothing going on. It's been a crazy last week, and I am ill prepared for this being a giant milestone on the channel. But I thought to celebrate it, what we could do, Anti-Social Movie Reactions Week, or ASMR Week, if you will. So this week I'm going to be watching some of the films that you guys have recommended to me, the Bleach films, some Studio Ghibli films, some Satoshi Kon films, because why not mix it up a little bit and have a lot of different tones going on. But I thought I would get to some of those films and just have some fun and do some of those. And you guys seem to really want some more movie reactions. I know it's been a long time since I have done one, and I only have a few on the channel so far, so thought we would celebrate with hopefully a full 7 of these. I cannot promise anything. Again, life has been chaotic, so I'm gonna leave myself that little bit of wiggle room, but we're gonna do as many as we can. And then afterwards, hopefully we'll get to return to normal reaction stuff. I know that I've been kind of wonky for the last little bit, but we're going to figure it out, especially since my editor has been extremely patient with me, and I just hope that she will like forgive me for being just very, very warbly about this. But I do remember a little bit about this film, some of the things in it. It's been like almost a year since I watched it. I think it was around this time last year that I actually watched it, which is a crazy thing to think. I've been doing this for a lot longer than I would have thought, but here we are. We're gonna rewatch it, and I think it's kind of funny that I don't remember a lot of it, because I think that that's like the whole point of the film, was like not remembering someone. But I'm sure I will cry again, and we'll just have some fun rewatching this, and then with the subsequent films it'll be my first time, so we're just gonna have a fun time. So let's get into the reaction. In 3, 2, 1, go. I got my tissues and my Totoro in arm's reach because I remember how this film hit me last time. Also, if you see my hair moving during this, it's because I have a fan facing directly at me. It is so hot in my part of the world right now. Oh yeah, wasn't this the research people? Remember, I really didn't know who they were, really, at this point. Uh-oh. I really don't remember this film. I feel like things will slowly come to me. But generally, I'm just like, I don't remember that this is how it started. Uh, the Central 46. What a time when they were around. The intense string music already. I really like that we transitioned immediately into like yellows and oranges, because we're like, one, orange is like a very like yellow is a very like bright, vibrant color, but there's also a lot tangled up in yellow. Like, yellow could be a positive or a negative color, but also the oranges make me think Ichigo. So switching to the color before switching to the character, I think is an interesting way of going from like this very dark setting at the beginning into like the more vibrant colors of like the living world and Ichigo as a character. There he is. I also like the mirroring of like the first episode with the spirit, like the young girl, and him like and Ichigo coming to rescue her because from a hollow because that's very reminiscent of that. Ooh, just leave those bodies randomly. There's a lot of momentum to them coming out of their bodies too. Trying really hard not to actually sing along with this song. The first time that this song starts playing when the new episodes start coming out, we're all gonna lose our minds. They have to put this song in. Maybe like a remix or something, like a reimagine of the track, but it has to be in there. Aw, the old Sambakto. I feel nostalgic. It was a different time in the chronicles of Ichigo's journey. Even just like his outfit is very different. Well, don't frighten her. I mean, he is a softie, especially since he's an older brother. I feel like he feels very protective of people who are younger. So society isn't all bad. Some of it's nice, some of it not so much. I hope she goes to one of the nicer parts. I didn't, I don't remember the long panning shot. That's like really hard to do with traditional 2D animation because it would have to be a huge landscape painting, like with a very like long vertically to like have that panning shot. I forgot that Rukia had a mod soul. I feel like it's been a while since we saw her just like interacting normally with the like living world. Yeah, I was gonna say, can you call a hearse? I feel like see, this is what I expect to happen. I like that this is like for comedy in the movie, but like honestly, it's remarkable that this hasn't happened more to Ichigo. I guess because he has Orukia. I don't think they'll just let him walk away. When in doubt, erase their memories. Porco. Poor thing. Just getting caught in the middle of the argument. Oh, ooh, that got their attention. That is something that I like about the dynamic of these three specifically, is they're very chaotic generally, because I feel like their personalities clash a lot. But the moment that there's like something to deal with, whether it's hollows or whatever, they're very good at just simultaneously taking action. Like they work really well. This now I remember now that I've seen it. I wouldn't have thought of this scene before seeing it, especially since the 3D animation definitely has aged a tiny bit. See, like getting the panning shot with 3D elements is a lot easier than with 2D ones. Oh, poor Cone like immediately switches bodies and is just thrown backwards. I do like that Ichigo's first instinct is to try and send them to Soul Society or like to the Soul World. Like he could have just attacked them, but he's like, I'm gonna try and like if they're normal spirits, just like have them pass on. But seeing that they aren't, then he reacts to that. I remember the wind because I thought that it was a cool ability. I like that she has the red tie instead of the white that most of them have. I really think that this is cool with the leaves. Like I know that it's probably a aesthetic choice to have the leaves flying around as well, but it does look really nice. Oh, oh, having a rough time of it. I also find it interesting that like even though humans couldn't see the like spirit being things, but also I'm saying that because I don't fully remember what they are. um, but like the humans just like kind of knew not to be in that area. It's like an instinctual thing. I don't know if I would call Ichigo obedient. I feel like that's not quite it. He only follows things when he agrees with it, you know? Yellow isn't my color either. But the yellow again, being introduced. Oh. Oh. Oh, I love that shot too, because it mirrors the panning shot in the living world, but it's inverted. And then we go the other way into the spirit world. Just brilliant direction. These two always drinking together. My favorite is when like they were fighting and they just like had to stop to decide who was going to go and get more sake. Like now. Um, boys, maybe notice the portal thingy opening up? Just, the living world and the spirit world starting to collide. It's probably fine. It's never ever caused issues. I mean, not necessarily. Ichigo as a soul reborn doesn't belong to a squad. I love how childlike she is, which is like very fitting considering what I know about her. Like as she starts to learn and actually have those memories, because she keeps saying, I don't remember, because she doesn't have those memories. And then as she starts to actually make memories of who she is and learn things, her personality starts to take more shape. She's already gone. Ichigo has turned his back on her. She is gone. See, at least someone was trying to pay attention. Just another moment in Ichigo being a babysitter, which happens a lot. He spends a lot of time being in that like single parent energy, just like trying to take care of people, even though it's chaotic for him, which I relate to because I become all of my friends' parents in some capacity. I worry too much. Look who showed up because things are getting wild. I like how he says like don't call me Toshiro and I'm just like Shiro because that's what Momo calls him, so just like sticks in my brain. Like he just yells in the general direction that he may be. Like you're throwing a lot at Ichiko right now. Honestly, just tell him what to fight. Point him in the general direction. The whole technical talk, I don't know if it's gonna sink in for him. Yep. I understand far more about this now than I probably did the first time I watched this. Oh, he's trying. He's concentrating a lot. He's trying to absorb it all. This is like me trying to understand geography class. I was always bad at geography. I was like really, really trying, and I don't know. My spatial awareness just wasn't there, I guess. The Valley of Screams is still one of those metal things I've ever heard, even though it's not a pleasant place to be, obviously. Yes, souls with no memories. An important thing to keep in mind. Yes, Cone saw something. He was paying attention. And no one ever asks for his input. I like how Cone was all ready to just like try his best, and they're like, we'll figure it out. Don't worry. Is it a hunch, or does Urahara just know a lot of stuff? I feel like he's always like 10 steps ahead. Like he's already gone through a bunch of the scenarios, and he's calculated the most likely outcomes. I just feel like that's how his brain works. We're just not gonna acknowledge how weird that was. Of course he came back. Ichigo keeps his word. It's just part of who he is. What did she do the whole time that he wasn't there? Just walking around? I mean, I wander a lot. I used to do that all the time when I lived in the city. I just walk around aimlessly. Oh, that's impressive, actually. Tearaway suit is an interesting, I don't know, use of comedy? Could we call it comedy? Is that what if we want to be that generous? I like how this could be a horrific stunt, and they're all just like, it must be a show because that's how human brains work. I feel like we don't want to believe that something awful is happening, so we just like assume that it's spectacle or there's like a logical explanation that's more benign. Still want to go on a Ferris wheel. I don't know if I talked about that the first time I watched this film, but I've never been on a Ferris wheel, and as someone who loves heights, I feel like a Ferris wheel would be the best thing for me. I mean, you didn't disappear into a cloud of leaves, so be more impressive. I mean, she didn't even know about the squads in Soul Society, so I don't know if asking her about all the technical stuff would sink in. He's trying, though. The whole waiting thing isn't going to work out well for Ichigo because he is not good at the whole waiting thing. I'm the same. I hate having to wait. I'm like, what can I do now actively? I love heights too, so I find it interesting that we transitioned from yellow to red. One, because yellow, I said, has like a lot of different connotations to it, both good and bad. But then red, isn't there like the red ribbon of fate or string of fate myth? So so it's like there's something fated in these two meeting each other. Ichigo's just a good boy. Take her on the Ferris wheel. It'll be fun. You just have to wait around for the blanks to show up anyway. I find it interesting that they both have the links between ooh, my voice. They both have links between like parents and the river. Like both Senna and Ichigo. Even though her memories are a bit more eclectic. But also like rivers are like this weird, I don't know, liminal space from like what myths I know about. They're like water is always like passing between worlds in a lot of myths. And I think Japanese ones too, isn't it? Like crossing over, aren't there stories about crossing over water to get to like the afterlife? I may be wrong about that. I don't know a lot about Japanese mythology. But I know in Celtic mythology, if you cross a river, the idea is that going over a bridge means that you're leaving one world and entering another. Makes sense the blinks are like drawn to her though. I like his hat. Also the blades that are like held almost like you're throwing punches. I don't know what they're called, but oh, I feel like I should remember more of this film. Whatever. It's like myself, I'm like, I don't remember any of these characters. Oh, that smile though. He knows he's about to rock. He's about to win this. Interesting that Ichigo's like, you can't steal a ribbon, that's bad, and then proceeds to cut off someone's arm. Because, apparently that's okay. I mean, he also knows that they'll probably heal him, so he's seen people be you know, horrifically lose limbs and end up being okay. I guess she has the two red ribbons. I mentioned that she has the one around her waist isn't the white that they normally have. Just Ichigo bringing another person back home, trying to explain what was going on. Look at Ichigo just tries to like play it cool and walk past, like, it's nothing, don't worry about it. I don't know why you guys are freaking out. Oh dear. That must be so confusing to have such different memories. Like both the like really kind and caring father and then having someone who was like that. You gotta snoop. I wonder how much Isha knew about what was going on during this film. Also, I guess they moved her from the bed. Oh, this is jogging my memories now. The clan that was banished. Which I'm sure Urahara knows the feeling. Because, boy, did he go through some stuff at the end of his stint with the Soul Society. I feel like Urahara definitely knows what that means. Like, I think he has an idea what Zen is already. And then hearing Ichigo ask that question, he's like, hang on. But he doesn't want to say anything just yet. And she's gone. That would be me though. I just wander off sometimes. Used to be just like walking with my friends and I'd just be like, hmm. And I would just go a different direction. They'd be like, what, why? What are you doing that? Would you go all the way around? Uh-huh. I just want to hug them. I mean, you're really just waiting around. You might as well help the kid out, or at least play along for a little while. He has to want to pass on, you know? Good way to build some trust. I like how the truck pulls and then they're gone. Ichigo's just like, oh no! See? Single parent vibes Ichigo. One of my favorites. Because he cares, but he's also put out a little bit, you know? But he'll do whatever it takes to make sure everyone's happy. Even if he's grumpy the whole time. See? I also like kind of the quieter energy of this moment. You know, of like Ichigo, I think a lot of his experience with being a Soul Reaper is the fighting aspect of it, and not so much the like Soul Reaper part of it, of like, you know, reaping souls and stuff. So getting kind of a quieter moment of him seeing sort of the more gentle side of what it means to be a Soul Reaper, of like someone who is guiding someone, a spirit from the living world into the spirit world. Mm. I'm so happy that they got to fight each other though. I'm glad that they got to find each other. I hope that they continue to be with each other in the soul world, because I know that it can be a little bit weird meeting up with people that you knew in the living world. Dramatic. You think that the like mist naturally happens every time that they come from Soul Society to living world? Or do they like do like some special keto to make that happen, you know? Just to have the atmosphere just right. Remember the first time I watched this moment kind of blew my mind a little bit, but now coming back to it, I'm like, all the clues were there. I just wasn't connecting the dots. You see, you know, but you don't know. You could be a little less aggressive about it. Speaking of Soul Reapers being focused on the fight part of being a Soul Reaper. This is what I mean about him not being the most obedient. Ichigo only goes along with things when he believes in them. When he doesn't, he's very rebellious. Uh-oh. I actually am now remembering this guy's power with the, like, no Doc Ock arms. There's a similar character in Fullmetal Alchemist. I don't know if he's in the Brotherhood version, but he's definitely in the 2003 version. That has a similar thing with his alchemy. Oh, now he seamlessly uses cone. That was good though. The like coordination between the two of them. So this is what I mean. I'm like, Ichigo and Kon together, a lot of comedy moments, a lot of comedic relief in those two interacting with each other. But when it comes to fighting and protecting and that kind of a thing, they work really well together. They understand each other in a way that I think they don't in a lot of other instances in their life. But when it comes to like Soul Reaper things, they seem to be on the similar wavelength. Real question is, does Renji get to win this one? Because he usually doesn't. Then the real fight begins. Clan of Darkness. That sounds very edgy. Oh, the poor stealth squad. Force. I always say squad. They're not a squad, they're a force. Ah, full bunkai form. So I must have watched this after finishing Soul Society because y'all wouldn't have let me watch it and like mess up the reveal of this. He's probably still trying to figure it out though. See, and he takes the ribbon. I feel like it is connected to the story of like the string of fate or whatever. I might be thinking that because someone told me that at some point while watching it the first time. I don't want to take credit for being smart when it was actually someone else who pointed it out to me. So I will acknowledge someone might have pointed it out to me. Oh look, they let Orihime be in the film. Sato! Not the stories about him, but I just get excited. Trying to think what the benefits would be of having the two collide. Do they just want destruction? Because that's possible. Especially since they're in there. I mean, if they've been banished and they're kind of just, going for a death mission, to just destroy as much as they possibly can. I guess having two dimensions collide with each other could do that kind of thing. I definitely feel like Urahara knew that if he said things that he did, Ichigo would react in this way. I don't believe for a second that he would have, like, the smile on his face, the way that he looked at him, he was like, that's how I wanted you to react. It's a weird choice for him picking up the ribbon. Some weird choices with the animation in this film in general that I don't remember seeing the first time around. Maybe just because I'm coming from like later seasons that I know what the animation looks like later. I think it's interesting that she talks about like seeing things from a distance that they start to fit together, which is like kind of the opposite of her with her memories, because if she had stuck with like really small view of her memories, she would have probably not have realized what she was and been so confused, whereas having more of a macro view of her memories is where she started to realize that there's all this overlapping stuff going on. I like that how Ichigo is even like he's going back through what he knows about her to try and figure out how to get into the Valley of Screams, but also the first thing he remembers is her saying, I remember being alive, because that is a very important thing for Ichigo. He's focused on the fact that she believes she's alive and he believes that she's alive. I mean, I know that he would have gone into the weird portal thing regardless because he wants to save Senna, but like maybe have a how to get out plan? Maybe. It's one thing to like jump into the portal, it's another thing to have like a way of getting back out. I mean, I guess he did tell Urukia to contact Urahara. I guess that's his way of getting out. That's his plan. He's like, Urahara will figure out the logistics of it. Thousand years and y'all are still bitter? I mean, I guess Soul Reapers live for a long time, so I guess if anyone can hold a grudge. Follow-up question. What could this clan have done that was so bad to be banished like this? Because they have like they have criminals that they just kind of stow away. But to be banished to the Valley of Screams seems like a big punishment. Like even Aizen just got locked up. I guess because they didn't have the Valley of Screams as an option anymore, but they could have put him in a weird liminal liminal space. I know my voice has given up on me a little bit. Just Meguri here for some exposition. I feel like I'm shifting around a lot in my seat. Films are always harder because they're longer, and I start to get fidgety. It's almost like a cocoon, which is interesting given there does one because the transformation, right? The like caterpillars go into a cocoon and they like completely dissolve and end up rebuilding from scratch. But also like there's a lot of like I don't know, insect imagery I find with a lot of Soul Reapers and society-related things. Honestly, this is really brave of Rukia, given that immediately prior to this, she was about to be executed for breaking rules. And she's like, let me break a few more. Let me just barge in here. Don't worry. We all know that the head captain says stuff, and then the other captains go, well, and they do what they want to. Sometimes we had it where they've been like, nah, it's useless. We can't help out Ichigo. And then the captains are just like, eh, let's try anyway. Like Kenpachi, at least. Can't tell him there's some weird, challenging fight stuff going on, and he's just gonna stand back and not do anything. That ain't his style. See? Dang. That like slices through the rock and everything. There's a lot of aggression behind that Senpakuto swing. Eiko's response to Ichigo wanting Senna just, huh. She's like mildly amused at the prospect. Oh, the voice actress for Senna, though. She's very good. She's had moments where just like the like distraught feeling that she's able to just like put into her voice. It's very good, but also unsettling because it's very good. It's cool. Backup's coming. Those are big words, said NG. I love him, honestly. He is one of my favorite Senpakuto, but also he is usually in the story to lose to show how powerful the opponent is. Oh, sure, just do a backflip over the railing, though. After I just started talking down on T Renji. Okay, I get it. Okay, but Ichigo's doing a good job of keeping his own, fighting against a lot of different opponents. See? I was like, ain't no way no Kenpachi's not rolling up to this fight. I do remember some of this. I feel like this part of the movie is stuck in my brain the most. The actual, like, fight sequence and the ending. I still think Toshiro's Zanpakuto looks like Beyblade. What, Dragoon? Reminds me of Dragoon. I know that the coloring is different, but that's what it makes me think of. Oh. I feel like it's been too long since I've watched Bleach stuff that I'm just like nostalgic for all of the characters. I'm just like seeing everybody show up. Oh, Kira. Your Senpakuto is terrifying, but also really cool. I think the first time I saw this, I didn't fully understand what his Senpakuto did. Okay, that's a flex. Just be like, let me be sneaky and stop your arrow, and then catch you off guard. Uh-oh. This is not gonna end well for you. Yep. One down. How did he get cut over the strap of his eye patch? And it didn't, like, make the eye patch fray or fall off or something. Not that I would want that, because things really get chaotic when Kenpachi takes the eye patch off. But I'm just wondering about the logistics. I think Kenpachi just grabs the blade and, like, pulls it off. Like, he has no fear. Oof. This poor guy. I love the inversion, too, on him. The, like, darker colors turning into lighter spots. Just, like, the warping of that. I feel like Toshiro would mind if it lasted forever. I don't think he has the patience for a drawn out fight. Does anyone fight that way? I'm trying to think now. I'm like, do we know any Soul Reapers that prefer a long fight as opposed to a different one? I guess like Kambachi in the fact that he likes to have fun with the fights, so he'll draw them out a little bit sometimes, but he'll also end it extremely quickly if he stops having fun. People will like rubble around the fight. It's cool, backup's coming. I love Denji's Hankai. I don't know what it is about it. There's something about the design. See, this is what I'm talking about. Denji usually gets beat up in a fight. This makes me think of in Soul Society when they had like the forest thing around the outside of the like execution grounds. Makes me sad that it's true. That like there's nothing that they can really do. Like they just have to deal with the consequences of what's happening now. There's no like reversing to the previous point. Because we're gonna get to the point where I probably start crying. When the music shifts. It's crazy that it's like, it has like this goo texture to it when he's controlling the blanks. Just something very unnerving about fighting like goo. Hey, at least he didn't get stabbed this time. That is like, that is better than some of Ichigo's fights. Imagine being like that controlled by your hatred. Oh, there's the stabbing. It's almost like needing it to sustain you, you know, like when you lose so much that you have to latch on to something, and at least like anger feels more of like an active emotion. Wanting revenge, wanting to get even is like still an active thing to want as opposed to falling into like sadness or depression or something like that where you feel very vulnerable and like you can't do anything. I like how Ichigo is like talking about having to rescue her, but like at the same time, Senna has to also protect herself. Like Senna is like also a participant in the rescuing, which I really like. It's very easy to have a female character in distress and then have the strong male character swoop in and save her. But then to have something a little bit more like even parts of them both participating in what's going on and like Senna making the decision of what she wants to do with her life. Y'all better get out. Oh, see, this is goo too. I like though that the world doesn't just like shatter. It like starts to like melt away. Like it ceases to have like a physical form. Come on, let's get a win. You deserve it, Renji. Yeah, that's the only time we see his face. Briefly and in horror right before death, which is a little terrifying. Her Zanpakuto is very pretty. I like how all of his weapons are still there, like, just like suspended for a little bit. Ooh, I forgot that this happened. Oh, look who showed up. We all knew it though, didn't we? Like, at this point, having seen far more of Bleach, I know that when Rikia is deciding to run into a dangerous situation, Byaki is always on the fringes. You know, maybe he's not directly part of it, but he's keeping an eye on it. He's keeping tabs just in case. He wants her to be able to do her own thing, but like, if he needs to, he'll step in. I'll need to speed this up. The world is turning to goo. Okay, that's where we're at. I do like that Ichigo always has like the red with his like spiritual energy, and then having green be the opposite one because you have those complementary colors. Oh dang, Ichigo. Okay, we're taking off people's arms. We're cutting people in half. Is that what we were doing now? In his defense, though, he did stab Ichigo. So, aw, I love that transition of the light too, of like his face in shadow, and then it has the light on it because the difference between like what where Ichigo is when he's like in fight mode, where he is willing to do whatever it takes to protect what he wants to protect, and then when he's in like Ichigo like more friendly gets to be like a 15-year-old kind of Ichigo who just wants to be with his friends. Woo! Bonfire now. Kono's getting stepped on a lot during this. Uh-oh. That's when it gets sad. I'm not ready. Even though I know it's coming. I feel like I'm still gonna get super emotional. Oh, the post Soul Reapers are getting thrown up in the air. I hope that they end up being okay. There was a lot of bystanders I feel that got hurt, like in the stealth force and stuff. I hope that everyone's alright. Everybody get ready. Oh, we're back to the yellow. Full circle moment. The way that she's like smiling through the fear though. This part broke me. Ugh. That's the part that broke me last time too. Hang on. I know that I knew this was coming. This is the first time I've seen this, but yes, I am crying again. Oh, the way he just like, his arms just fall, like. My heart hurts. I like how they have the Ferris wheel in like the middle of the scene too. This is literally like the same state I ended before. Just me being like full of emotions and crying. Look, I hate that it's like people who didn't exist and stuff, and I'm like, but she did. She was right there. Uh, it's fine. I'm fine. Don't worry about it. I can't remember if there was stuff going on during the credits or not. Sometimes there's like scenes and stuff, which is why I'm waiting. Because if there's another scene to break my heart a little bit, why not stick around? It could happen. I feel like my glasses are all skewed now because I'm wiping my eyes. I do feel like I did come with a different perspective on this film, though. Not only because I could kind of pick out some of the things and kind of focus on some of the narrative choices in it, but also just like having a very different perspective on like the characters. Because I feel like it was like right after I finished Soul Society that I ended up watching this, and obviously a lot of the stuff with Soul Society and the captains and lieutenants and Zanpakuto and Bankai and Shikai and all that kind of stuff was like very, very new in my brain. Whereas like now I have a far better understanding of all of that stuff. I feel like I was still reeling with the whole Aizen thing too. Let's face it. There's a lot to come out of that arc. I do like the transition though. From like day into like dusk and then night. It's like the day's ending where they knew who Senna was. Then it's gonna start a new day. She'll just be gone. But I'll remember. I like the transition to like the haziness though. The like weird in between time between like night and sunrise. It's just a good detail and like lighting. Am I distracting myself? Yes. From the emotions. I'm still recovering. See, this is what I was thinking. I'm like, I feel like there was another scene after everything. Oh, the wind. And the ribbon coming back because it's fate. Oh, the sad smile though. Everything is sad. So we took some time to recollect ourselves, dry our tears, get up and move around a little bit. I do find that movie reactions are quite difficult for me because I do fidget quite a bit, and when I have to sit down for like a whole hour and a half straight, my body just like needs to move at some point. So, but at least we got some cool fights. We got to get into the emotional part of it. I just find something so impressive that we were literally introduced to this character in the film, not even like from second one. This is a character that we had a limited amount of time with. She had to share the screen with the rest of the characters, and still we got to a point where we cared a lot for her. And I think part of that was the kind of childlike wonder to her. I think me, anyway, I'm just like very protective of people in general. I feel like anyone who has that kind of pure, innocent kind of feeling to them, I think a lot of people feel very protective of them, and I think it's very built into human nature to want to protect children and stuff like that. So having her in that space, especially since she was basically like not even a day old at the beginning of the story, like she is very young in terms of like actually existing, and then as she recovers more of these memories within her, she starts to learn different things and her personality shifts a little bit. But there is something very childlike about her because she is very young and she doesn't have experiences and she doesn't have all of the like cynicism that a lot of people who are grown up do. So I feel like that lends to it. But I think also it's about Ichigo. And I think that's a really good thing that they had time where it was just Senna and Ichigo interacting with each other, because we care about Ichigo. As an audience member, we've spent a bunch of time learning about who Ichigo is, getting to know him and caring about him. He is kind of the anchor to the story in terms of like emotional investment that the audience has. So having that one-on-one time between him and Senna, I think is really important, because he starts to care about her, and because he cares about her, we care about her. Then we start to develop our own attachment to her. And I love that at the end, with events that shall not be named, but at the end, we also get just Ichigo and Senna together. It wasn't this big moment in front of all of these other characters. It wasn't the whole cast of, Soul Society and Ichigo's friends and stuff like that. It was just the two of them together, going back to the graveyard and also walking by the river. And I feel like both of those have very emotional ties to Ichigo, because we know the river is connected with his mother and the death of his mother specifically, which is also linked to the cemetery. So having those two things connected with Senna too, I mentioned this in the actual reaction, but having the river linked with Senna, I think is very, very clever writing, because we know how important the river is to Ichigo. And of course, there are lots of other things going on with that connection in terms of like having a portal into other dimensions and things like that, but also the river is a huge emotional point to Ichigo's character. So having that connection, even though there's like plot involved with why Senna is connected to the river, we also have that emotional connection already. We're already thinking about that, even if it's subconsciously. And then also to have the graveyard associated with her after that point, we're again getting another thing that links those two things together. So even if you don't consciously know that we're getting that link to Ichigo's mom and her death, we also saw with Senna, the memory that she had connected with the river was with a father, and then losing that father. So having those connections between them, even though they're not exact, is a really good way of linking the characters and also pulling those emotional like baggage that we already have as audience members to feel something for her, empathize with her, because we see the connections with Ichigo and his story, and one that we're already empathetic with because we spent so much time with him. So I love how they built that up, and they used things that they already had. They weren't trying to really go all out and really flesh out this character. One, because that's would go against kind of her function. Like, she's not supposed to be a full three-dimensional character. She's not supposed to have a bunch of history and depth and connections to people and stuff like that. She's supposed to be very eclectic and kind of have this mixed up story. So they needed to pick things that already existed with characters we already cared about, Ichigo specifically, and could just jump off of that. So I love getting to rewatch this and get to pick out those details that I feel like I didn't see the first time. And obviously, like, knowing a lot more about the world, knowing a lot more about the characters, I feel like I just came in with a lot more information and a different perspective, and it's fun to just kind of go back. I don't know how entertaining that was. I hope that you enjoyed the rewatch of this film with me to kind of kick off doing some films. We'll see how many I end up doing. Thank you once again for 1,000 subscribers. I feel like my brain is still trying to understand that that is a real thing that has happened. So thank you again so much. I hope that you enjoy the reactions that are going to come out to kind of celebrate that, and let me know what other things you would like to do to celebrate different ideas, and I will see what I can do, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!